Can it be really? How bad? But let me start by saying that my hope is that we can, take advantage of this very bad moment, of this very poor outing, disastrous, you may say. You can take advantage of it and turn it to a huge positive for Nigerian sports. Turn it to a huge positive for Nigerian sports. And I say this because, and I've looked at some little bit of history, and I find that in 2012, we were in the same position. In 2012, we went for the Olympics. We got out with the Olympics with no medal. The Olympics for Paris are not yet, technically 100% over, but like all projections and all whatever expectations, we are imagining that with Toby and Musa not able to qualify for the finals in our race, and that our projections or expectations may have reached a point in which we can begin to say perhaps that 2012 is being repeated here. So we're in a similar position in 2012. We're looking at what happened in 2016. What did we do? We came out with just one bronze. After not having a medal 4 years earlier, 4 years later, we just had one bronze. 8 years later, in 2020, we had a bronze, we had a silver. So for me, my takeaway from this is that my hope is that we can use the outcome of this, as bad as it has been, as a huge positive for Nigerian sports. It's life has a way of being tricky. Maybe we're matched out of here with one bronze, one silver, whatever. We'll think that we've tried. Maybe it's important for us to know that we're actually nowhere. And that even if we had a bronze in 2016 after not having a medal in 2012, and had a bronze, had the silver in 2020, that those results are not the results that a country like Nigeria should get in an Olympics. So let the outcome of this be that eye-opener that the country has been waiting for. So we know, for example, that we need to go back to the very basics. And I've looked at it. In 2020, we got a silver in wrestling. We got a bronze in long jump. And the two people that got all these medals still competed in these Olympics. The one that got us the bronze in long jump did finals. The one that got us the silver in wrestling didn't go beyond even the quarterfinals. The semifinals. So that's what it is. And for me, I had some session yesterday with a technical team, and they went on, and they were saying all the fine points and all of that. And I said, look, guys, I just wish you had seen all of this after we've been able to post results. Because it is the posting of those results that have been able to justify all these things that you're saying. The athletes have commended this, the athletes have done this, done that. The athletes have, both athletes and officials have looked at, the Ministerial Podium Performance Committee and how much it worked and the value and all of that. I say yes, but at the end of the day, the outcomes do not tend to now give any justification in terms of what you're talking about. So for me as minister, it's and I look at the operations of all of these. I look at the performance of the ministry. I look at and I say to myself, I just wish it was possible that the kind of hard work we put in the last 1 year, the kind of commitment that we've shown, the kind of leadership that we've provided, I wish it was just possible that it could have been reflected in terms of the outcome of these Olympics. But unfortunately, that hasn't been so. And I think that most of you is not the first Olympics that you are attending. And I think that you're able to follow up and know what has taken place in previous Olympics compared to what has happened in this particular Olympics. And I think that from the government of President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in terms of the approvals and the release of funds for these Olympics and the Paralympics. The government was never found wanting. All that was requested for was provided. In terms of what the ministry was supposed to do, either in terms of local campaign, foreign campaign, in terms of whatever, and I've taken a study and found out most of the things that are always a problem, Olympics after Olympics. And I think that what we tried to do was to make sure that we close all the gaps. Even in terms of paying of athletes, they were paid in advance. Every leg of the provisions of the allowances supposed to be paid, they were paid in advance. If it was to motivate them, we tried to do so. I wasn't able to visit the camp in Germany. My permanent secretary visited that camp. But I read comments from athletes themselves and officials as to the quality of that camp. So everything that we should do, I believe that we did as a ministry. You couldn't find athletes complaining of unpaid whatever. I visited the games village and I had an interaction with the athletes. And I listened to their complaints. After that, we increased their training grants, foreign training grants, beyond what we had budgeted for. The local athletes, made a complaint that they are never paid those grants, that they also spend money, although they operate at home. We made sure for the first time there was some provision for them. So at every point we've had to, a few things came up, of course, from which we've had to also respond as a ministry. So in terms of leadership, we've tried to do that. But I think that Olympics and the outcomes and all of that are always a function of too many variables. I'm talking about the training and the preparation, how much of it took place, the commitment of the athletes and their level of patriotism. And when I say what I want to say, I'm by no means, trying to drag any of our athletes, because as young men and women, I believe that they have done well for country. I remain proud of our athletes in spite of the outcome of the Olympics. It's not easy in a world of how many billion people. In those days, they used to say that, the fun is not in winning, it's in participating. If you compete, you're an athlete and get to a point that you attend the Olympics, I think that there is no reason why a country shouldn't be proud. But I've also come face to face with a few situations that I can mention this. I've watched games and seen Nigeria lose, certain times badly, and I've waited back to have a one-on-one with who competed. And I've had that one-on-one, and I've asked the question, how do you feel? And I've received a response that I'm very satisfied, and I've immediately said, don't let Nigerians hear you say you're satisfied. That's from the level of the athlete. You lose a game that the entire country is watching. And I'm minister and I'm asking you, how do you feel? You say you're satisfied. So we're talking about the level of commitment and patriotism. I've also gone through a situation in which you find somebody who is at the leadership of a particular federation, not in Nigeria, at the international level. And the person's sport is part of the sport that has competed in these Olympics. And of course, that sport did so badly. And the person is in touch with me, and we chat once in a while. And there is no chat that betrays that. The only chat that I get is a picture of the person and a colleague at the international level, a selfie. And I know the comments that person makes in platforms on other matters very strongly. So our problems are plenty. And there's plenty as that. So for me, like I said, I started by saying that my takeaway from this is, what do we learn from what has happened? How much does that fire us in terms of what to expect in the next 4 years? As we get back home, how does this inform our level of organization? The Ministry of Sports has a yearly program, we call it National Youth Games. How much of what has happened now should get us to think about what to do to get those games to work more than they are working? The National Sports Festival comes up in January in Ogun State. How much of that are we going to consider helpful? And all of that. What about the matters of infrastructure? What about the matters of funding for sports? How much of this challenges us? So for me, I wish that I was speaking to you with records with outcomes that were better and positive. But let's turn what has happened to a huge positive for Nigerian sports. Let's show that what has happened now turns attention to what this sector requires. If you look at the overall medals table, there's no difference between the countries that lead the world. Is it US? Is it China? They are the people that are still topping the table. That means that sports has become something else. It has become soft power. Countries decide to fight or to play, both of them, in order to do what? To maintain what status that they want to have. So a lot of things, and I think that you know better, but there are quite a lot of takeaways from these games as well, even though we didn't get the medals. There are quite some takeaways. I mean, the female team, did. I mean, the volleyball team, did what they did. They digress. I mean, they did what they achieved what they haven't achieved before. What the African team has achieved.
Basketball.
Long jump, we may not have won any medal. We had 3 Nigerians, taking part in the finals. And we can go on and on. And I think you know better. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's where we are. I mean, and I need you to ask the questions that you want to ask. If you want to clarify issues or points, just so that it will inform their reportage or whatever, please do. I thank you.